What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bios3 Raw TV. Well, what can we say about Mr. Brazilian Synthol, man? I mean, there's not much you can say about this guy, right? So I'm getting emails, comments about what do I think about this new guy that just popped out of nowhere, who's got the 29-inch arms, and, you know, Mark Lowblinder made a video about it, and Louis Marco made a video about it. I'm sure the Hodge twins are going to make one if they haven't yet. I'm sure pretty much all of us in general are going to make videos about it, because we all have varied opinions on it. And I'm getting the whole, well, Jerry, what do you think about it? Okay, before I tell you what I think about it, let me go from the standpoint of, not many people, I think, other than Boston Lloyd has said this, but I've said flat out before that I have used synthol. I have been a synthol user. Excuse me. I used it in my delts at one point. I used it in my arms before. I didn't put it anywhere else. So, I mean, those two body parts, but not when you think I used it. So you've seen pictures of me where my delts look pretty good. It wasn't in there before, and I should actually put up a picture of what I looked like before. I should put it on my Facebook or whatever. If I can find it, I'll put one up. But it had like that weird look like Carrot Top. If you guys remember when he had that fucked up looking shoulder, if you ever saw him, the comedian, when he was out, you know, getting big out in Vegas and stuff. And it leaves like a bulbous, kind of round, kind of funky look. Now, I used the original Pump and Pose by Chris Clark. This has got to date back to 2000 and maybe 2001 or 2, maybe 2000. Whenever Chris Clark first came out with it, there was a message board called Mesomorphous, and when they came out, it wasn't really popular. Nobody really knew that much about it. There was a guy named Manfred Hoburl, who was a big German strongman that had like 26-inch arms, and I don't know if he was site injecting, but since he came from the same place that Chris Clark did, there was the assumption that Manfred was using this in his arms. He had since then stopped competing in strongman and shrunk up, and so did his arms. So obviously the synthol didn't stand there forever, but this is called Pump and Pose by Chris Clark. And that was the original one. It was sterile, and it was this original formula that was a secret formula that Chris came up with. And he was from, I think, Germany, I believe. And you would take this stuff, and there was like a protocol that came with it. And you would do, the protocol. And, I saw increase in size, of course, like almost right away. It's not nearly as kamikaze as what people are doing today. They start off with their 3 cc's in every body part, and all of a sudden they're hammering this stuff in. You could buy one bottle and use one bottle for like this whole cycle, and it was used to bring up lagging body parts towards a competition. Now, most people kind of overdid it. It had a strange look to it. I wanted to just be bigger, faster. That's why I did it, and I had no qualms about doing it. I did PGF 2, which is Ludolase. I've done that before. I did insulin. I mean, I've done everything that you could. I'm like, why not the oil? So I purchased a bottle of the oil. There was actually a vitamin store that was selling it in Rhode Island at the time. It was like under the counter type deal. So you walk in and somebody told me that they had it, and I kind of knew the guy a little bit that owned the place. So I was like, hey, I heard you guys have the posing oil, Pump and Pose. And he was kind of like, yeah, we got Pump and Pose, man. It's like $300 a bottle. I was like, fuck. Bought the Pump and Pose, did the injections. Didn't really like the way it looked. I mean, maybe I was doing it wrong, but I was still doing it. And I talked about it. I talked openly about it. And Ernie, there was an Ernie Taylor guy who looked to apparently having his triceps and said he didn't. And everybody was saying they weren't using it and they're not using it. I don't use that shit. And, you're looking at people like Nasser El-Somebody had the weird fucking delts now. And, Milo Sarchev, his arms look weird. He came out years later and said he had used it and he almost died from it. But at that point, I was just open about it. And I was just starting to do message board stuff. And, I mean, I had no qualms about the fact that, hey, I took steroids, I used this. And I was actually approached by the Mesomorphous board. And they were like, look, we're selling this product on our board, and nobody's admitting to use it. People are buying it. But there's nobody that can promote the product, that we can use in a picture, that, would you be interested in doing this, and we'll hook you up with, Pump and Pose. I was like, fuck yeah, free Pump and Pose? Yeah, of course. I'll say I did it. If I could put my picture up there that after I used it, go ahead, fucking knock yourselves out. So it's kind of like a poster child for poster boy for synthol before it even really hit big. It was just starting to get introduced to the bodybuilding world, and people were starting to use it and play with it and mess around with it. But that was so long ago that now I'm hearing about there's like different products. And one contains some kind of silicone into that supposedly is fucking people up, causing these massive infections. People are going from, using a little bit to round out a muscle to fucking trying to add like 3 to 4 inches like on a body part. And it went from being like a tool that was starting to be known about to something that was abused very quickly. And because of the fact that there was no drug in it, people weren't worrying too much about abusing it. Well, more is better. More is better. That's the mentality. So now, fast forward, it's fucking 15, 20 years, well, not 15, 20 years, about 12 to 15 years since I used that stuff. So fast forward now, you have these different brands in the market, and they're starting to find out that it can actually cause issues later on. Some of the things that are in these things, these pump-imposed oils or whatever they're called, let's shut this message off over here, can actually cause damage to muscle fibers, and it somehow suffocates them. This is what I'm hearing. Now, I don't know if it's true. I'm not a scientist. They're not doing long-term studies, but there are reports of people being hospitalized for different things like infection, abscess, and, you know, long-term, they'll come in and have these issues with scar tissue or whatever, and they go in and look, and there's like this huge amount of scar tissue in there because the oil had pushed all the fibers apart, and now that the fibers are apart and all inflamed, it was causing scar tissue. When the oil dissipates, they're like, oh, it's a permanent gain. It's a big chunk of scar tissue in there that winds up being left that eventually has to be removed, you know, unless it's not bothering something. So long-term effects, I don't know, you know, like, and that's the clean, you know, sterile ones. Now this guy, Mr. Brazil, well, not Mr. Brazil, but Mr. Brazilian synthol guy, this fucking guy is shooting it in his arms and his traps, and he's got 29-inch arms. Now he's using a combination of supposed mineral oil and alcohol. Could you be any fucking dumber? I mean, seriously, there's videos up about this shit, and it shows people, I think it's in Brazil, to be honest with you, and they're like in a back alley with fucking chickens running around and shit, and these motherfuckers are filling up syringes full of, you know, God knows what kind of oil. It's just in a bottle, and they fucking draw it up in like a 5 or 10 cc syringe, and they fucking whack each other in the arm in the fucking alleyway back behind the gym or their house. I mean, it's not sterile where they're shooting this shit, but at the same time, whatever fucking oil they have is not a sterile oil. It's not meant to be injected. It's not pharmaceutical grade oil. It's just oil. So then you see like these drainings. I mean, there's one online, and beware. It's on YouTube. A draining of a bicep that had an infection from this shit. They cut the fucking bicep, and then they just grab it like this, and they squeeze the bicep, and just shit comes out. And that was because of some kind of funky ass, you know, marketing synthol type shit out in fucking Brazil. So I think this guy is fucking stupid. The fact that he's still alive boggles my mind. It just shows that, you know, the body's very resilient, but you're putting those foreign substances that are fucking never made to go in there in a shitty environment. I'm surprised this guy hasn't had an infection or something like that, but he's definitely, absolutely gonna have some kind of fucking issue at some point. There's no doubt about it. And, you know, he'll have his 15 minutes of fame, and that's pretty much what he wanted. So, do I think he's stupid for doing it? I think if he's okay with it, I think it's fine. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. It doesn't matter. Who am I to judge? Would I ever do that to my body? And I've done some crazy fucking things, guys. You guys know that I've done some fucking insane things that most people would not do. Would I do it? No. So what does that tell you? BioStraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biostraining.com is the blog, and where this is the no synthol bicep now, and we're out.
Extreme. Make plans to be at the 2014 Blue Ridge Fitness Festival, April 26, 2014. Mark the Machine Lowbliner brings the ANBF Natural Bodybuilding Show to Roanoke, Virginia. Extreme Living brings Jerry Ward of Bios3 Training. More information can be found at extremeliving.biz. We'll see you there.